MJBizCon, the world's biggest marijuana industry conference, descended on the Las Vegas Convention Center in 2019 with the usual thousands of enthusiasts and sleek booth displays. But the exuberance that marked 2018, a year loaded with industry-wide money-raising and blockbuster investments from alcohol and tobacco companies, gave way to a more sober look at how to survive for the next 1 to 2 years.
There was clearly a phase of irrational exuberance with regard to the big Canadian stocks in particular last year and into the beginning of this year. Obviously the market is substantial and it is growing, but it's nothing like the big bang that some people thought it was going to be, not just in Canada, but internationally.
When cannabis first turned legal in Canada in 2018, there was too little product. But as the nation's legal producers churned out more pot, eventually there was too much. One reason for the extra supply, analysts said, is too few stores in Canada to actually sell cannabis, making access more difficult and helping to prop up the illegal market. That problem, executives say, has been particularly acute in Ontario, Canada's most populous province. While other provinces had physical stores up and running at the opening of Canada's new legal era, Ontario opted to open with a government-backed e-commerce site. Physical stores came later.
People don't like buying cannabis over the internet, in particular in Ontario, which accounts for 40% of the population, because there was a consumer privacy breach on their website the first month that it rolled out. So that creates like a lack of trust.
Investors and analysts have said the industry suffers from a lack of basic financial transparency and a habit of over-promising, over-expanding, and under-delivering. Former Canopy Growth co-CEO Bruce LINTON also said financial forecasting in a new, turbulent industry was difficult.
Part of the reason I think the sector got blown up is they got so busy telling everybody, we're going to give you guidance. Well, when you're wrong a bunch of times, because there's no way you could be right because it's such a highly variable economy called marijuana, when you give guidance, you end up looking like an idiot, and money doesn't like that.
LINTON himself was ousted from the top spot at Canopy in July after the company's own quarterly results irked major investor Constellation Brands, the parent company of such alcoholic beverages as Corona and Svedka. Constellation invested $4 billion in Canopy in 2018. LINTON said he first sensed his job might be on the line during the first board meeting after that investment deal closed.
The agenda is no longer your agenda. So I know as soon as I'm going to have that first board meeting where I don't have the control of the board, I know it's a question of when I'm going to be terminated.
Financial difficulties have also been compounded by a health crisis in the U.S. linked to cannabis vaping products bought off the street. In 2019, more than 2,500 people were hospitalized across the nation, with at least 55 deaths confirmed due to vaping-related lung illnesses, according to the Centers for Disease Control. Some in the industry said the U.S. government's response was hamstrung by cannabis's legal status.
I think the first thing and the most important thing to understand is that cannabis being federally illegal, there are no federal regulations around it. I mean, we saw it during the vaping crisis. The FDA, the CDC couldn't go out full-blown and say it's THC because of that. They're not allowed to have a point of view on THC because it's still federally illegal.
Signs of demand could be found elsewhere in Las Vegas during the week of the conference. The car loop was jammed at Planet 13, a dispensary/bar/restaurant that also houses an edibles processing facility. CEO Bob GROESBECK said he plans to knock out more walls to eventually build a smoking lounge and a club.
And that'll be knocked out. That giant hallway will continue here and an angle to the right.
GROESBECK said the store, armed with 200 security cameras, draws about 85% of its customers from outside Nevada. He said the threat of legalization in other states, which might make any one store less of a novelty, was a non-issue. The allure of Las Vegas, he argued, would carry Planet 13 through the competition.